Welcome back. We live with another episode of the Mission Control Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Stearns. This episode is brought to you by Ascend Digital Agency and proudly sponsored by the team at Roofer. If you need end-to-end sales solutions, things like instant roof measurements, clean and pristine proposals to compel your prospects to buy, hit up the team at Roofer. Today, we've got a very special guest for another bonus episode of the Mission Control Podcast, Chuck Allen with Rio Blanco Roofing and the host of Keeping It Rio.
Yes,
welcome.
Sir. Good morning, my friend. Good morning. It is early where we're at today.
Yes, it is. It was a weird morning for me. First of all, thanks for coming on. Love having you here.
You're scrolling Facebook at 5 in the morning and you see someone say, let's shoot a bonus content episode, and you don't take it. Hey, that's on you.
Yeah.
I'll always be available for that.
Hey, that's a fact. My man. Yeah, so it was one of those days where, like, I woke up and I felt like, I'm like, oh my God, I overslept. And I woke up and looked at my phone. It was like 2:15 in the morning. I was like, shit. So I tried to go back to sleep, slept like shit till like 5:30, got up, got to moving. And it's funny because, I'm in Buffalo, New York, and we were supposed to get just hammered. And some portions of Buffalo got hammered with snow. So yesterday I was on my way to the office and I put on my big boy boots, hop in my truck, and I'm all excited for the snow, and there's nothing, right? We got like a dusting, not even an inch. So when I left the office, I wore my sneakers, not my boots, right? Because there was no snow on the ground. And then sure as shit today, I wake up, I go outside, and, we got like, 8 inches at my house. There's like a foot near the office. I sent you that photo, and I'm like, God damn it, I don't have my boots.
That's how it always works.
Funny how that works.
That's living in Buffalo. I mean, I guess that's the norm, right? It could be completely dry one day, and then you're stuck inside for a week the next.
Yeah. We love it here, though. Go Bills. So, Chuck, I had the pleasure of becoming acquainted at RoofCon.
Yes, sir.
And I absolutely loved it, right? You had a lot of great energy. The event was dope. What was your favorite part of RoofCon?
Well, I'll be honest. My favorite part of RoofCon was I won a grand prize on the stage where Joseph Hughes was speaking that was valued at $5,000. So that was pretty good. Seeing all my friends was really the highlight this year of RoofCon. Well, it was something to do with Revolt. I haven't gotten it yet, but it was a software package that had to do with Revolt. It was like their high-level plan. So just randomly out of, I don't know how many people were there, but my name was drawn for that. So, 1 in a million, or maybe in this case I was about 1 in, 1,100 or 1,200. But still, I'll take those odds every day of the week, and that was cool. I always like going and just hanging out for a couple of days, seeing my friends, and, being in Orlando is never a bad thing. So RoofCon was cool this year. I really enjoyed it. I got to go down actually as a gift from a friend of mine. So that, it's tough to beat that combination. You didn't pay for the ticket, and you come back with a $5,000 grand prize.
I mean, not bad. You're just winning, crushing it on all fronts.
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
I'll be honest on that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of those things where it's like, you're right. For me, especially like getting to, we interact with people on social media all the time, and a large percentage of people I'd never had the opportunity to meet. Some I have met and would like to see. So connecting at events like RoofCon, it's awesome, right? Because even the people that you haven't met, that you've been interacting with for years online, you feel like you've known them forever, right? So it's like when you finally get that energy face to face, it's there's something about it. It's electrifying. Yeah,
it is. I think when we did our little interview there, I said that it was kind of like the Emmy Awards of the roofing industry, and I think that's pretty true because that's like the one that everybody shows up at. It seems like, and it's a pretty good time. There was nothing controversial happened. Nobody got in a fight that I know of. Nothing weird. So I mean, kind of your atypical roofing event, but it was a great time for sure.
No, yeah, no doubt. So you've been doing roofing, Chuck, for how long?
I have been in the industry for 24 years, which it's hard to imagine that, but it's gone by pretty fast. I started off.
What?
Go ahead, my bad. I was just trying to fill in there while you're taking a sip of the coffee.
No.
I'm about to do the same.
No, go ahead. Tell us how you started off.
I started off because I worked in a drywall stocking company, whatever you want to call it. And I was running a crane, and it was all right, but it was pretty hard. I'm not going to lie. Drywall is not something that's fun to mess around with, especially when you have to do it every single day for work. So I ended up getting hurt, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. So one day I was just kind of in a pissy mood, driving home, and there was a roofing supply company on the side of the road there that had a sign up for a driver. So I just went in, and here we are, you know. So many months later, we're still doing the same thing and having a great time with it. But, yeah, I've gone through the entire process, too. I started off as a delivery guy. I drove a conveyor belt truck for 12 years, and that was kind of cool, you know. Got a good experience. I have a hard time standing up straight now, but that's life. I think you're gonna get your scars from your stuff that you do regardless. So I had a fun time lifting a bunch of heavy stuff.
Sure.
I got an opportunity to switch over into the office part of that and managed the roofing supply for a couple of years. And, you know, not my thing. I didn't enjoy being in the office. I'm kind of out and about kind of guy. I like to be around the people. So I moved to Texas just randomly, and I ended up working for a roofing company in College Station for about 7 years. Learned a lot about the business side of roofing, the contracting side, which I had really no experience other than working with them. And back in 2019, I decided to make a move. I was just kind of wanting to do something different, get a different kind of energy about me. And I joined up with ASAP Roofing based over in Tyler, Texas, and went to work at their office in Indianapolis for a little while. That ended up, you know, not lasting real long. I was there for a couple months, and I ended up coming back to Texas. The opportunity then presented itself for me to partner up with those guys and take on this Rio Blanco project. So here we are. You know, we bought a company that was out of business and have resurrected it from the dead, and it's even got a podcast named after it now. So I think Rio Blanco ended up in a good place because of us, and I've enjoyed the journey. It's definitely been, full of ups and downs and good and bad, but I wouldn't change any of it, that's for sure. I've got a different skill set than most people, and I don't know anybody that can understand the perspective of pretty much everybody involved in the roofing, from the labor guys all the way up to the bookkeepers and so on. So I think I've got a pretty unique skill set based on my strange, random experiences.
Yeah, that's amazing, dude. Congratulations, first and foremost.
I don't know if that deserves congratulations or a slap in the face, but yeah, we're good. Have fun.
You know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and I see it as a crazy accomplishment, man. That's amazing. So you talked about drywall. I have a rental property, and I had some of my buddies come over, and we were doing some renovations to it. And what I found, I'm like the least handy person you're ever going to meet, right? I can get you a ton of leads for a roofing company, but if you ask me to put a roof on or do drywall, it's a shit show. So, and what I found especially that I hated about drywall was doing like the finish work and like sanding. And for me, like sanding down like mud is like nails on a fucking chalkboard. Like it goes straight through to my soul.
Yeah, you've got to be different to do that. And I'm the same way. I'm not a fan of any of that. And I made it a point to be really, really bad at anything construction related. So I can say the same thing. Hey, look, I can explain it to you and I can show you how it's done. But if I'm up on the roof, we've got a major problem. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. As far as, being in, so many different positions along the way, and obviously the relevant experience, the insight, and being able to relate to now people in your company that are in those roles, I think sitting from my vantage point would be hugely beneficial, because if people understand that you can relate and empathize with what they're doing, struggles they're facing, I think it helps get them more bought into you as a leader. Has that been your experience?
Oh, absolutely. If you can go out and actually show people, hey, look, I've done this. I've been here. I go out randomly and roof load houses for my guys just so that they see that I'm willing to do it. But yeah, it's credibility, right? I like to be able to say, look, I've probably handled more bundles of shingles than every roofing crew I've ever worked with times 10. And they don't see that side. They're used to working with owners who, sit behind a desk and bitch about how lazy they are and, go golfing and all that stuff. But to me, I think it's crucial. And I think what really separates me in the industry from a lot of people is just that. For example, if the delivery's running late because the truck got a flat tire, I know a lot of contractors from my time on that side that would be pissed, screaming, yelling, cussing, like you flatten the tire just to screw my job up, and I hate you, and I'm going to take my business elsewhere and smash your company to the public. And I'm not that guy because I've driven a truck that's had a flat tire. I've been on the side of the highway, so I get that. It happens. I know what it's like to have, allocation of shingles under extremely stressful situations and have to tell people that they can't have materials. So you know what? If someone ever tells me that, I won't be super pumped about it, but I understand. I've been there. I've done it. Even the guys that are out on the job sites, I've carried bundles of shingles, thousands, millions probably. I understand, when it's hot out, I encourage my guys, here, come down, I'll buy you lunch, I'll get you a drink. Take care of everybody on the team because, the whole team has to work as a unit for it to be successful. And, I think everybody understanding that you can understand it from their perspective and that that they're working hard, and just the fact that you appreciate them, I think is the most important thing of this whole deal.
Yeah, that's really a good perspective. And you had mentioned the allocation thing, and I know like during COVID that was, a huge issue for a lot of people, right? Is like, okay, I sell predominantly Atlas shingles, but I'm a third-year company, and the big players are soaking up all the allocation from the suppliers. So like, how do you deal with that type of situation, especially as a young company?
Well, that's awesome because what we were just talking about, I have that understanding. I've been very, very, very good to the people in the distribution side because I understand I'm not the biggest guy by any means. Mm-hmm. And I understand how it works. I've been on that end. I understand the big guys get their stuff unless you can find a way to be in there with the big guys, right? And for me, it's always been my understanding. Mm-hmm. I build relationships with the people that are there, show them that I appreciate them, thank them constantly. I think yesterday I posted that I was at SRS in San Antonio at the greatest branch in the world, and that kind of stuff. I mean, I hate to say it, but you just got to be cool. And if you're cool to people, they'll be cool back. And if they're not, then, okay, whatever. But it's a game of relationships. This whole thing is, roofing, business, life in general. It's all relationships. And if you can build a good relationship and people know that you're legitimate and that you're going to be there and you're loyal, they'll take care of you. If they don't, then they don't deserve to have you anyway. So that's the way I've always combated that, and it's always been good to me. I never had any issues with any allocations or any of that stuff, even at the height of COVID.
Nice. So along your journey, what has been is there like a defining moment or a specific challenge that comes to mind that was especially taxing and tough to get through?
Oh my gosh, every day. But I'll tell you the one that really got me early on in my career. I was in sales here in Texas, and I had no experience at all in, selling. I was a guy that took orders over the phone. If you forgot to order a can of paint, I could remind you, that kind of deal. So I get down here, and I know everything about the products because that was my specialty for years. I come to find out that homeowners really don't give a shit about the project, the specifications of this stuff. They don't really care, just end the problem. Make my roof stop leaking, get rid of it, tell the insurance company I have a new roof, make it look pretty, whatever. They don't really care about all that other stuff that goes into it that a lot of people think they do, right? And my biggest issue was I was very inexperienced, so I didn't have a lot of confidence going in. We had a storm that hit Amarillo, Texas back in, I guess, 2012. And I'd just gotten down here to Texas. I'd been doing it for like maybe 6 months, had a little bit of success, enough to where I thought I was a badass. And we decided we're going to travel to Amarillo to do this storm, right? We're going to get rich. It's going to be awesome. I've been hearing about these storm chasers for years. Oh, my God, I'm going to be one. It's going to be awesome. So we get down there, right? And I had just gotten started, so I had a little bit of savings from my previous job, but I was not like super wealthy at this point by any means. I was driving a Hyundai and, you know, just trying my best. We get down there, we're living in an RV park, and I'm still pretty committed, right? I'm going to go out and I'm going to sell like 1 million roofs. This entire town's going to know who I am by the end of the week, and they're going to love me. They're going to put a statue up. 2 months later,
so
I
realistic
haven't sold
expectations.
Jack shit. Well, of course, right? And that's me. I'm very realistic when it comes to this stuff. But I'm there 2 months. I haven't sold a damn thing, right? Like, struggling like you wouldn't believe. I will call it out. There was insurance fraud being performed in 2012 in Amarillo, Texas. I won't say the company, but there was a ton of it being done. And I wasn't that guy. I was trying to do everything above board and be legit. So didn't quite work out for me there in Amarillo. I ended up coming back, and I'm in College Station, and I think I had like $12 to my name at this point, right? Because 2 months, I'm living in a camper. I'm you know, it's weird. Struggling. Get back, and I decided, you know what? I need to just take a break for a minute. I'm not sure that I'm going to continue on in this because, yeah, shit, I got $12, dude. This isn't good. I go back, and I decided I was going to go to Ohio just to visit family for a couple of days. I ended up staying there for like almost a year. And in that year, that's when I developed into who I am today. I started doing training. I'll give a shout out to one of my absolute greatest mentors in the world, Mike Code. I was watching YouTube one day or Facebook or whatever, and I saw a video that this guy had made where he was walking his dog. And he was just talking about something. I don't even remember what the content was, but it drew me in for some reason. He's walking his dog, carrying a bag, you know, dog shit in it. And he's talking about roofs. And he said at the end, make it a great day. And for whatever reason, that just kind of stuck with me. And I started seeing that video more and more with different content. And I started following Mike, right? So he started getting me into a different mindset, even though I'd never met the guy. His videos were really, you know, changing my thought process. I kept training. I started doing Grant Cardone stuff. I started doing some other sales training. Got myself pretty sharp. And about 10 months in, I decided, okay, I think I can do this. I want to give this another shot. I don't like the way that this ended for me. So I went back to Texas, went back to that same company, asked them for my job back. And I was not performing at a high level when I left. So if they would have said no, it would have been like, all right, well, that's the end of the story for me. I'm probably flipping burgers or working at a roofing supply company somewhere now. But the guy was like, yeah, hey, you know what? We like you. You've got energy. We think we can teach you how to be good at this. So come on back. I came back, and that first day I sold a job. And it was like, from that point, you know, I just had it. So that moment, though, it was like I was scrolling randomly, and Mike Code, he's the guy that brought me back into the industry. He's one of my best personal friends. He's one of my best mentors. I spend a lot of time with him now, and I have the personal access because of that one video. You know, it kind of blew everything up, and honestly, I would not be sitting at Rio Blanco if not for that man either, because Rio Blanco was his original client. So everything in the world goes full circle, and that started at an RV park in Amarillo.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a great story, and there's, you know, I think a couple good takeaways from that, right? It's like you can fall on your face, and there's, you know, you look at it through like the silver linings, right? There's, in the shittiest of situations, there's some good to be gained if you're looking through the right lens. So kudos to you for getting back on the horse. And like, think of like the power of like video, short form video, right? I do marketing, advertising, help people with branding and things like that, and it's like, I'll scream that shit from the rooftop. It's like people will be engaged with video much more so than you writing 3 paragraphs of content or just posting like a still frame image. And to your point, like with Mike Code, there was something within that video that you saw that resonated and stuck with you, and you continue to watch and look at what you've gained out of it because of that, right? That's amazing.
Yeah, it changed my entire life.
Shout out to Mike Code. I don't know you, but you've had a huge impact for Chuck, so go follow my guy Mike.
Yeah, he sponsors my podcast too, so he's a great guy, definitely.
Nice, man. So has there been a situation within your roofing career where you've second guessed it? Even at, like, let's fast forward, talk about Rio Blanco Roofing, right? has there been an instance within the first few years where you're like, did I make the right choice? Or has it always been rainbows and butterflies?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll be straight up. Of course, everything is going to be questioned. You know, I started this and I went from being a high-level sales rep who was making very good money and living the dream. I was having a great life. I didn't have any real stress. You know, my jobs would go or whatever, and someone else would be responsible for it. I'd sign deals and, you know, really just kind of enjoy myself. And I got into this because I believe that I've got more to offer than just being a top sales guy. I think I can be a leader. I think I can help transform people. So, yeah, I said, let's do this. And I understand, okay, going from a successful company that you've helped build over the last 7 years to something that's literally out of business, like in a town that you've never been to in your entire life, that's a little bit crazy, right? But you have to believe in yourself at a high level, and I always have believed in myself. That's one person that I know. That dude's not going to screw me, you know. He's going to be there if I need him, and that dude doesn't quit. So I don't give up on me. And, you know, you come in, and I'm sitting in an empty office, and I've got a cricket there that I'm talking to because that's literally the only person I know. And it's like, dude, what in the hell have I gotten myself into here, right? You're sitting there and you're thinking, I don't know anybody. How am I going to even spread the word about this company? You know, who am I even going to talk to? So, yeah, there's been several times where I've questioned my own sanity and where I've thought, dude, what in the hell? But here we are. It's still working. It's still going well. I've got an appointment to sign a roof later on this afternoon with a nice lady here in San Antonio. We just did some production the other day. Life is good. You know, it's just... I question it every single day. I'm not going to lie. I wake up and I think, what kind of stress am I going to get today? Am I going to have a homeowner that's pissed off about something that's unreasonable? Am I going to have to deal with someone that doesn't want to give their check? Am I going to have to deal with, you know, whatever? And it makes you really understand and appreciate how simple it is. And I'm not taking a stab at sales, but that's a pretty damn good gig. If you're in sales and you work for a good company and you just like making money and having a good life, I think that's a good option. And if anybody that's watching this has that in their mind and would like to come work at my company, I'm always looking for good people. So we, you know, I want to help people with their lives being changed, and that's been my thing. But, yeah, I've questioned myself and my sanity. My God. I'm 44 years old. I've questioned my sanity for probably the last 40 of them.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and that's, you know, I don't think that that's like atypical. I think that even the most confident of people and the ones that are crazy enough to take that leap into entrepreneurship and running a business, I think I think that like self-doubt at some point and to various degrees creeps in and can present some challenges. But like you said, I know me. I know I'm always going to be there for me. That he's going to be there. I can count on him, right? So it's like, using your experiences and the confidence that's been established based on other triumphs that you've had in your career and life, I think help kind of push me through personally. Yeah, that's good shit. In the roofing industry specifically, I see a lot of people talk about like sales reps that leave, they take their shit and start their own company, right? And I think it always seems like a good idea. Yeah. And I think it always seems like a good idea, right, for that sales rep. But I think from my experience and what people have told me, a lot of the times there's a rude awakening, right, as far as like what actually goes into running the business. Because like you said, sales is a pretty good gig, right? You're going to get leads. You're going to go sell shit. We've got a project manager for you. If you're with a good company, you don't got to worry about if you're going to be paid. Life's good. And then you start a business, and it's like, well, holy fuck. There's a lot of obstacles to making this thing successful, right? There's so many things I didn't think about. So in your transition, was there something that was especially challenging, whether it was routine, whether it was logistics, whatever the case may be? What did that look like for you?
Well, I am extremely blessed because I have the partnership with ASAP Roofing, and they've got the infrastructure. They were doing it a couple years before this all went down, so they had gone from like a startup to 20 million in about 3 years. They've got the systems in place to understand how that works. I get to be under that umbrella, okay? I am not going to bullshit anybody. The truth is, if it was just me, Rio Blanco would be out of business right now because I don't think I could have done all of that stuff on my own. And that's just being sincere, you know. I don't want to sit here and toot my own horn. I've had a lot of help with it, and it's still been a big struggle. Anybody that starts a company from scratch like that as a sales rep, I understand the thought process. Believe me, I've been there. I've always thought, you know, as a sales guy, man, you know, I'm the one that's making this dude rich, and he's, you know, living the high life, and I'm out here having fun. I never worked in December for 7 years, you know, like I got to travel the country and go do cool things, but you always think the grass is greener on the other side, and you always think the money's bigger. The fact of the matter is I'm 3.5 years in. I've not even made close to the money that I would make if I was just selling roofs, you know, because of everything that's involved in this deal and a startup business. And, you know, you don't go from being out of business to $10 million overnight or $20 million or whatever your goal is. You were freaking out of business, dude. Like, there was not any demand for your company, and it shut down. So that's a challenge. And, I mean, I think we've done all right with it, and I think it's going to continue to grow. But, you know, if it was just me as a sales rep and I said, okay, screw it, I know what I need. I just need a roofing crew and to be able to sell. There's a lot of stuff that people don't think about. And a lot of these guys that go out, I love it because I think it's great. And I love that people want to go learn and develop and be better. But there's a lot of lumps that can be taken here, you know. And if it weren't for my partnership with the guys over at ASAP and that corporate structure, I would definitely be selling roofs for another company. I would not have this. And, you know, that's just being totally honest. Like I said, I question my sanity doing it anyways with that security and stability. If I didn't have that and it was like, hey, man, I'm literally just starting this thing because a hailstorm hit and I'm ready to go, there are going to be some obstacles for sure. And there's going to be a lot of lessons along the way. And, you know, I try to be as helpful to people as I can with my experiences and offer advice. But a lot of this stuff you just got to learn on the fly, you know. I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes you talk to people that have been in the industry for years and you realize that guy doesn't know shit, man. Like, he doesn't understand the back end of any of this stuff or how this works and is still, you know, doing fairly well. So, I mean, it's structured. The more experienced people definitely can do better and you know, cut better deals, get better numbers and all that. But, you know, hey, if you're willing to put yourself out there and you believe in it enough to do it, get them. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's a really good point, right? Having, you know, ASAP Roofing in this instance, right? Somebody who's been there before is there. You know, they've really cut down that learning curve for you, and I'm sure helped with like processes and things like that. So like you have a resource that's available to you that I'm sure in some capacity has a vested interest in your company thriving, right? And like you had mentioned that in the absence of that, we probably wouldn't be here right now. You'd be selling roofs for somebody else, right?
For sure.
So I think it's important, you know, for those that don't have that resource, create resources, be resourceful, right? Find people, put your ego to the side. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to admit that you don't know something and go in with an open mindset and try to connect with people and network with people that have been there before, are there now, have done the things that you're trying to do. Because, you know, if history tends to repeat itself, if you can take even just a very small amount of information that person can plug you with to help your business, and you do that with 5 different people, it can make a monumental difference in the trajectory of your business, right? And don't get me wrong, you could go in there, hop in the ring, and take your losses on your way to the championship belt. But if you could get a really good trainer, right, from the jump and be prepared for that first fight and win the first fight, like what? There's no shame in that.
There's no harm in that. You know, it's like, hey, sometimes you get a job because of your last name. Sometimes you get a job because of, you know, just who you hang out with. And I get
your hair.
Yeah, you got good hair. I'm not gonna lie. That's that's past me. You know, but I get it.
What have you? So you have a mentor in Mike Code, and you said he's been incredibly an incredible part of your success, right? How? Let's see. What specifically has Mike helped you with And if there's 15 things, I want one of them. What has been the biggest impact that Mike has made on your company that you could attribute to the success of your company and yourself?
Oh, my. I mean, there's so many things. We've got a great partnership with a bunch of different roofing companies through that network. So I've gotten the opportunity to go to other businesses. I've gotten to do mentorship with other roofing companies. I've gotten to go and help sales teams and stuff. But to me, it's the mindset. I mean, everything that we do is similar to what every other person in our industry does, right? I mean, how am I going to go to someone's house and say, well, my shingles are better, my nails are better, like what? We're all doing the same thing. So you've got to frame yourself as something different, right? You can't just be the same vanilla that comes along. If you talk to 4 roofing companies and they all tell you the exact same thing, the 5th guy comes along and he's, you want me because I'm awesome and I'm going to make your house sweet. And this guy didn't even talk about nails or drip edge or anything. He's just talking about the experience. And that mindset has been really the big thing. That's what changed me from being the guy that walked in and said, hello, Mrs. Jones, we are going to tear the roof off and then we are going to put on synthetic underlayment and then we are going to, that's a canned speech, and our industry has a lot of that because, unfortunately, the training is not super high level in a lot of cases. But the mindset is the biggest thing, and that's what Mike has done for me. I've gone through his training university. I go through his trainings. He just did one over at our corporate office this week. Filled the room. There was 100 people in there, and it was an all-day training. And we come back completely different mindset than we had going in, and that works every single time. So for me, it's just the way that you think and the way that you present yourself because of the way that you think about it, if that makes sense.
I like that. No, that's smart. That's a really good answer. Very well thought out. So
I just thought about it.
I just thought about it. So how important is a script in sales?
I think a script is the worst possible thing you can have, personally, myself. Now, that said, I do have a scripted presentation for new sales reps. And when I say scripted, it's not like, okay, here, go home and read this and memorize these lines, because I think that really puts you at a disadvantage as well. Because if someone has a question and it's not in that little presentation that you've been memorizing, you look like a jackass, quite frankly. So I don't like that. I like people to be themselves, to be authentic. I teach my sales guys, hey, look, I'll teach you about this. We've got a magazine that we carry. I don't have one with me, but we've got a magazine that we take with us, and it's basically Rio Blanco Roofing magazine. You open it up. The first part is, why do you want to use us? It's, the owners and their children, and, we're a family company. We got all these referrals, yada, yada. You go through, and it explains our warranties and things like that. So you've got that, and it's designed really for the sales rep to look at it and kind of open it and keep them on track with, there's 5 things you discuss with the homeowner. As long as you just go through it briefly, here, and here, you should be out. You shouldn't be on their nerves. I do pitch books, too, for my brand new guys, just because I want them to kind of get in the way of how a roof system is put together. I don't think that's the most important aspect. I know a lot of people are going to disagree and say, well, you got to know how it is, or you're not a damn roofer or whatever. I've never installed a roof in my life. I've been in the industry 24 years, and I've done millions of dollars of roofing sales, so whatever. But you do have to know your stuff, right? You've got to understand a little bit about it. You got to know how the warranties work. So I give them a pitch book, and I usually tell my guys, I don't want you to use this for more than 90 days. And if you're still using it 90 days, we've got to figure out why, because you've got a crutch there. And, as long as you can get off of that, and we just kind of do a structured little, here's what we're going to cover. And if you don't get that in those first few times and understand, just keep it short. People buy off emotion and they justify it with logic. So your job is to go in there and be the person that makes them feel good and makes them excited about it, And you can't do that off a script, in my opinion. If you're in storm sales and it's just like, everybody's the same, okay, cool. But if I get to that person before you with your script, I promise I'll win. I said it.
I love it. So the unwavering confidence. So I
have to, right? It's craziness.
I believe that scripts are I believe scripts are incredibly important. And it's kind of the latter half of your statement. It can be a cape and a kryptonite if you use a script to establish what that conversation should look like, handling objections, right? So that your rep is fully loaded with the relevant knowledge and perspective as far as like understanding the homeowner and how you want that process to work. I think it's very important. But like you said, you have to wean them off that script because you don't want that canned bullshit conversation that the homeowner is going to hear from the other 17 roofing companies that have visited them, or the 3 or the 2 or the 5. Doesn't matter, right? You want to be different. And if you can, I say make that script your own, right? And it doesn't have to end at that script. Like, we can always evolve and learn. So maybe you have a script, you've made it your own, you're doing well in sales. That doesn't mean that that's your ceiling, right? You could pick something else up from somebody on a YouTube video or at a conference or from another roofing company that's taking you on as like a mentee, and make that even better. So I think if you keep an open mindset, make a script your own, and just be like, humanize the process for them. Have empathy for the situation that they're in, and understand that they have a problem, you have a solution, and all you've got to do is bridge that gap. It's not terribly challenging, right?
It's not. And I will kind of go back. I want to clarify my comment about scripts, okay? Because the way that I look at that is different than a lot of people. And I understand that people do learn differently, right? We also, instead of having a script, we've got an online training university that we've developed in-house at our company that gives you, everything about, every process, objections, the systems, everything about it. So you've also got that resource right here on your phone. If you get to the house and you've got something that you're not sure of, you can go out and say, okay, how do I measure this gutter, or how do I explain this to the homeowner? And I didn't learn well from a written script. It's just not my thing. Like, I can appreciate the beauty of it. And like you say, it's kind of like a bullet point deal more than, hey, here's how you're going to say, hi, my name is, fill in blank, and I'm with fill in blank company. If you can keep it somewhat human and keep it on point, then yes, absolutely. I think a scripted conversation is good. I just don't like that whole, hello, how are you today, Mrs. Whatever. I am here to do an inspection for you. So, but I love that other people put guys out like that in the market, because it does make our job a lot easier. As much as, you hate to say that, but if you're well trained and you put your people through the training like we do, and you give them the resources, and we pay, large amounts of money to have mentors come in and do conferences for us and all that stuff, we should be able to take advantage of that, right?
Right. So, yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's different for everybody. So I worked for a company where I did sales, and like part of the day one, like you're hired for 30, 40 days out, you had to come equipped, and you had to know this 14-page script, which is wild, right? It was, I can't tell you the amount of hours that went into it, but what I found that it did for me was, it's commitment, right? So you weed out like anyone that's not taking the job seriously right on the front end. And it provided me like an agility mentally. Like if something was thrown at it, pretty much handled every product, every objection, things like that. So even in the moment, if I didn't want to articulate it the same way that I did in the scripted pitch, I could think to that point of the conversation and then just have a conversation about it, of what is the proper way to isolate this objection and overcome it? Okay, let's just articulate it this way. But that's awesome. So you created an in-house training university for your team. I think that's really forward thinking, and I think that's a great way to keep them sharp. That's awesome. What inspired you to do that? That
definitely was. Well, it was not me. I will be 100% clear on that. It was the ASAP Roofing and Solar crew over in Tyler, Texas. Joseph Kozel, Clint Koppel, Leanne Koppel. They had this in place before I even joined the company. But it's like the Grant Cardone, Lightspeed VT. Lee Haight has one. Brad Lee has them, And they just got the program, did all the videos in-house, so it's all specific to our company, and it's faces that you're going to see in the business. And I think that is the most amazing tool. It's crazy because, you know, in this deal, you'll always lose people here or there. You'll have guys that'll go somewhere else because the grass looks greener. And some of the feedback that we get is amazing. It's like, you know what? I left your company thinking I was going to go over here, and because they had a bigger name or whatever, it was going to be way better. But they don't teach you anything over here. And I know more than any of the people on this team because of what I learned from you guys. And that's a great compliment. You know, if you're going to leave, at least say, hey, man, the place that I left was actually better than this. So that's a huge deal. But it makes it personal, too. You know, like you can watch Grant Cardone videos or you can watch videos of people that you don't know. But when the actual people that are in your business that you see on your meetings, that you see day to day are doing that, it really, it adds something to it. You know, I think you pay a little bit closer attention. You realize that it's more specified to exactly what we're doing rather than just being, you know, general roofing sales.
Yeah, I like that. Do you engage in role play frequently or infrequently or at all?
We not as much as we should. And I'll be honest, I think probably 90% of the sales teams in the country are going to say the same thing. You know, there's a very small amount that are very, very dedicated to doing that. I like to do role play. We've got multiple offices, so a lot of times our meetings that we do are via Zoom, and it's tough to do it through those types of avenues. But you know, I like to have them. You know, on a Friday afternoon, I'll bring the team in and I'll say, okay, you know, so and so is going to be the homeowner, so and so is going to be the sales rep. You know, here's the situation. This is a retail deal. She wants a standing seam roof. Now you go play the role. Yeah. And you just kind of walk through those conversations, you know, casually. And in those moments, you kind of can pause and say, hey, look, you know, what if you, instead of saying this, why don't you ask right up front, hey, what am I here for? What are you looking for? And you can cut 15 to 20 minutes off the conversation. So I try to do it, but I'm not going to lie. Anybody that says that they're extremely strict and completely dedicated to that, they're special. Because that's hard to stay committed to. It's hard to get people in because, number one, it's so hard to do role play in front of the people in your office because they know. And that's the hardest part. You tell guys, you know, if you can do it here, no homeowner on the planet is going to intimidate you because they don't know anywhere near what we do. And if you can pull that off in front of this group, your confidence is going to go through the roof. And, you know, we see a lot of success through that.
Yeah, that's good. And I mean, I think it's incredibly important, right? Repetition, like how else can, like, to stay sharp. It's not only just to learn things, but it's to retain like all those one-off situations that you may not be exposed to on your 20 sales calls that you're running this week that only pop up once every 3 months. It's easy to be less than fluent in that conversation when it catches you off guard. So putting an emphasis on those types of things in a sales position, I think can be really helpful. I have a client, shout out to Patrick Johnson with Trusted Roofing, and he came from car sales. Nice. And he, like, at a high level, managed a huge team. And one of the things he said that he does is he makes his team be ready at any point throughout being in the office to where they just jump right into it. Where he acts as if he's the homeowner, he asks a question, and on the spot, unexpectedly, they've got to be able to handle that objection. And I thought that was fucking brilliant.
To me, that's the most badass way to go about doing it. And I try to do that stuff sometimes, but, I mean, you can really mess with people's heads if you do that too much, and they're not, you know, not prepared as much as you'd like for them to be or whatever. Yeah. And I've screwed with some people's confidence doing that. But it also gives you a good indicator of what you need to work on, you know? It's like I've ruined some people's confidence just by, you know, being too hard on them in that kind of role. And that's why, you know, I try to be gentle, but at the same time, homeowners are going to be brutal, you know? And you have to replicate a homeowner experience. I tell people, you know, one of my best experiences I ever had in sales was I went to a guy's house, and he's a very prominent member of the community that I was working in. And those people, I'll just be candid, they can be assholes, right? Like, they know that they're on a different level than people. I'm a young guy, and I'm selling roofs, right. And, you know, roofers get looked down upon by guys like this pretty frequently, you know. And I'm no different than the guy that picks up garbage to him and, just whatever, peasant. And I go into this guy's house, and within, I'd say the first 30 seconds, the first thing this man says to me is, "We're done. Get the fuck out." All right. Guess what? That was the most important moment of my entire career, because in that moment, I had to make that decision. I had to figure out what to do, right? And it's like, this guy just straight up told me that, and I'm like, deer in the headlights. I realized I'm probably going to lose my job over this because of this guy being prominent and me getting thrown out in under a minute. So I'm going to lose my job. You back someone up against the wall, sometimes they can act a little bit different. And this is where my confidence came from, this one moment. I can pinpoint it to this one moment. And I live in this guy's neighborhood to this day. I walk by his house every day. But I said, all right. I folded up my book and I got up and I started walking. And this dude was thrown by that because he's like, well, wait a minute. And I said, hey, dude, I heard what you said. There's no sense in wasting your time or mine. You're going to find someone that's going to do what you want. It probably was going to be me, but best of luck. And, dude, this guy was like, what? Yeah, huh? And he stopped me and he says, well, let me go get my neighbor. And I'm going to stand over here in the corner. And if you talk to my neighbor and I like what you have to say, then we'll talk. And I'm kind of at the point there, like, yeah, you know what? I'm not even interested in that crap. That's stupid. Don't make me jump through hoops. You literally just told me get the F out of your house. Like, I'm not feeling this relationship. But I said, okay. This guy goes and gets his neighbor. I start talking to the neighbor, and I'm watching the guy more than the neighbor because I didn't want to sell to the neighbor anyway. He was already a guy I talked to, and I did not like him either. So I'm selling to a dude I don't want to sell to. This is kind of weird. But I'm watching the guy in the corner, and he goes from his arms being crossed and all pissy to, by the time I'm done, he's shaking his head, right? So I ended up getting that deal. And that deal, because of the way that I responded in that moment, it changed my entire outlook. And I tell my guys, you're going to have that one moment, and you'll remember it for the rest of your career, where something just, it hits. You just hit that perfect combination that one time, and it takes your confidence to the next level, and that's when you become successful. I had the same skills. I just believe more because I literally reeled a dude back in that told me, get the fuck out of my house, and I ended up doing like 5 houses on that street because of that house. So to me, I think that's crucial. And trying to replicate it in the office, that is difficult, like, people are going to respond differently to me than they are to a homeowner that tells them that. So I think a lot of real world experience is required as well, just to, take your lumps, like we said.
Yeah, dude, that's amazing. Yeah, it's like the power of walking away, right? It creates that allure around you. Like, why isn't he begging for my business? Especially to someone, like you said, who's prominent, looks down on roofers. It's like, why did Chuck act this way and he's willing to just leave, right?
Once you get that in your repertoire, life becomes much greater. I can tell you that. You got the power at that point, and you realize it. And once that happens, my career took a complete change from that one moment, and I will always pinpoint that. I'll always remember. Every time I see that guy to this day, I shake his hand and thank him. Thanks for being a dick, man. If you had been cool that day, maybe none of this would have ever happened, Yeah. That's
so funny. I had and it's not always going to end that way, right? Like, it could go the other way, and maybe you walk out, and like, that's okay too, because not every customer's got to be your customer, right? And a lot of the times, right, you can avoid a lot of headache and stress by walking away and them not stopping you, right? So it's almost like a win-win in those instances. I had somebody who stood me up for. Yeah, I had somebody who stood me up for a meeting. And, like, I'm the type of person where it's like I can empathize and things like that. But at the same time, it's like, if we're going to book time together, like, communicate, shoot a message like, hey, we carved out an hour and a half. I'm not going to be able to make it. Don't just not show up and not communicate, whatever. So said person had reached out like a week later with no correspondence, like, hey, I wanted to get back on the schedule. And I'm like, I'm like, honestly, I just don't think it's a good fit. Just because, if you're not going to respect my time for our meeting, you're probably not going to do it in the future. It might be a sign of things to come, and maybe not. Maybe maybe I'm wrong, but
it's that whole first
historically,
impression deal.
If I look Right. You know, so he ended up, I was getting recommended on like a Facebook group, and he ended up like, yeah, that guy, he thinks he's too good for me. And I'm like, no, it's not that, dude. It's like, we've all got a very fixed amount of time that we can take to like run a business and make our customers happy. And if we're going to invest into relationships, like we've got to make sure that they're mutual beneficial, that we respect one another and everything that comes along with that. I didn't say this on the post. I kind of just was like, that just seems very unreasonable to try to damage my reputation based on the fact that I politely said, you know what, I don't think it's going to be a good fit. But
yeah,
here we
especially under those circumstances, you know, but everybody's the victim. That's how it works. Your story's not that good unless you're getting your ass kicked or you're kicking someone's ass, right? So I can appreciate that.
I'm definitely clipping that into a reel. Thank you for that. That was amazing. And
that's, hey, I got to go viral somehow, right? I'm trying. Leanne Koppel over at K Socialized Media, my associate here, she has figured out the key to going viral with videos. And I mean, she's getting like millions of hits on her stuff right now. So I just need one. I'm trying so hard. Give me 1 million hits and I'll do whatever I can do at that point.
So where did the transition into having the podcast Keeping It Real? How did that come to light?
Well, I've been a fan of this type of broadcast for a long time. Like when I was a little kid, I listened to radio all the time. I listen to Howard Stern to this day. Like I travel a lot and I always am just listening to that kind of stuff on the radio. Right. So I've always kind of had this thing where I thought, you know, that'd be kind of cool, but that would never happen. Right. I just didn't have that kind of skill or whatever. Now we live in a world where shit like this can just be done. I'm sitting at my office with a computer. I got a microphone. I got a mixing deal. I got, you know, I could take phone calls and sound effects and all that stuff. So as it started coming and I started listening to more podcasts, I started thinking, well, damn, you know, like this kind of would be fun, I think. So we fast forward to last year. It was the beginning of the third quarter and our company has quarterly initiatives for our management to do, right? We've got targets, and if we can hit these targets, we'll get sweet rewards and stuff. So the one that we were doing for the third quarter last year was every Thursday, the branch managers from ASAP Roofing and then Rio Blanco Roofing were going to go live all at once together. So this was kind of the beginning of where I was like, all right, wait a minute. Okay, this is kind of what I was looking at doing. This gives me a reason because I was just, you know, you say you're going to do it, you say you're going to do it, and then it's like, man, you know, that's a lot. I don't want to do it. Once you start doing it, you realize it's fun as hell. Yeah. Once you get into it, you realize, man, I'm glad I did this, but I was never probably going to really do it. So Keeping It Real was a name I came up with when we first started the thing, and it was just like, that's a stupid name, but it's kind of funny. So, you know, the company's Rio Blanco, we're keeping it Rio. All right, whatever. I didn't think anything of it. So I made Keeping It Rio into our little weekly. It was only supposed to go for that quarter. And you and I, yesterday, we shot episode 95. So it definitely went beyond that quarter. It's evolved. I've went and got, you know, good microphones. I've got good equipment for it. I take it very seriously, and I've been consistent. So it just kind of started from that, and it's evolved. It was my guys and I that were doing it weekly for... Shoot, we just stopped doing the weekly one about a month ago. We did it for the entire, you know, first 90-some episodes. And we would just get on there live Thursdays and we'd just BS about whatever, you know, gas station food and whatever crap we're working on that week. And, you know, whatever. We went to a discount store and bought carts filled with garbage and discussed all that, you know. And I started doing interviews with my friends and started having some fun doing that and realized, you know what? People actually do watch this stuff, which is kind of crazy to me. I mean, when you and I met, the first thing that you said was, hey, man, it's Chuck, the host of Keeping It Rio podcast. And I was like, damn, okay. That's at RoofCon, you know? And the first thing when someone walks in, when they say that to you, it's like, all right, it's cool. It's working, you know? I've had some amazing guests on. I've got to talk to some of the top people in our industry. I've got to talk to some crazy, like, stuff that you wouldn't even think of. I've had the guy who does the hot sauce, which is my sponsor. He was a guest a couple weeks ago. I've had a professional wrestler on there. I've had a mortician. I've had a couple different authors. I've had, top people in our industry. VP of Atlas, Stan Bastick, was just on a couple weeks ago. Lee Haight, Dale Childress, lots of pretty good guys. Uh-oh, your internal temp is high. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hold on.
No worries. Are you on a MacBook?
Yep.
Me too. Mine does that sometimes. We're bringing the heat. I just exploded your computer. I love it.
Listen, you bring out a mortician because you're killing it. We're just burning up the airwaves here, so the computer's overheating. I mean, there's worse places to be. Give me 1 second. I'm wondering, is it? Anywho,
it's one of the joys of doing a broadcast, right? Stuff doesn't always work exactly how we want it to, but hey, this is still good. I can still hear you just fine. Oh, look, I see. We're about to have some pictures, I believe. There we go.
We just transitioned into the MacBook stuff. Give me 1 second. 1 second. All right, speaker.
The beauty of going live.
You can't change devices while recording. Please hold.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, I literally just brought so much heat that I set this man's computer on fire. It overheated. This is amazing. While I have the stage, I'd like to also remind everybody, Keeping It Rio podcast. Go to our YouTube channel, like that, share it with your friends. That's Keeping It Rio. Anyways, I was just giving a shameless plug for my podcast.
Perfect.
Letting the world know that we just literally set your computer on fire.
Well, I mean, and these things happen. So, I mean, here's the deal, right? Am I talking through my mic or my Mac? Give me 1 second.
I feel like it's through the Mac.
Speaker. Yeah. Mic. You know what? Fuck it.
Let's go. Hey.
These things happen, right? So when, you're presented with challenges that you don't foresee, it's okay.
Here we are.
No need to play the victim. I've got an amazing guest, and we're shooting amazing content. And now, like, the beauty of it is, like, you don't have to see my hideous face on such high res. You can see it in 720 as opposed to 1080. So I might look a little better without the camera. So, yeah. So
I still look the same, unfortunately.
VP of Morticians, VP of Atlas, wrestlers, Mike Stearns. I mean, you got amazing guests on Keeping It Rio. And I'm glad that you shot your shot. Yeah, that's super fun. What do you like most about doing the podcast?
I think it's at first I really enjoyed the dynamic where it was myself and a couple of other co-hosts, and we just kind of did the bullshit session. But as it's evolved and I've started getting to talk to more and more people, I've gotten more comfortable with the interview format. I've got to talk to some serious badasses. I mean, like, people that are putting on conferences, people that are writing best-selling books, the dude that made the hot sauce. I mean, all this stuff is just, that's my favorite thing. I've talked to so many diverse people. I've talked to a 17-year-old Elvis impersonator, right? Like, I had a 17-year-old dressed up as Elvis singing on our podcast. I talked to a girl who wrote a book. She just graduated from college, and she's a news personality. She just wrote a book, and her story was about the family that she has that they opened a restaurant that only employs recovering addicts for opioids. Just things that you wouldn't really think of a roofing guy talking to people about. Like when I had Jen Silver on my show, I found out why she was called Jen Silver. That's a whole story in itself that not too many other people even really thought of, but it was like, tell us a little bit about yourself. I try to make mine different. We talk about roofing stuff, obviously, because that's what we do, but I want it to be light, kind of easygoing, energetic, and just fun. And as long as people want to keep doing it, I'll keep doing it. I don't have any real game plan. I'd love to start making some money off of it. And I'm also going to throw this one out since we're live here and you said you're not going to edit it, but I've been trying to get Roofer as a sponsor for like a year, and I thought I had some headway there, but I heard that Roofer was sponsoring podcasts again, so just saying. Just saying.
Interesting.
I got TJ coming on here next week, so.
Shout out to the world's greatest roofer. I think an important aspect in being successful in life, and whatever that looks like for people, I think that in most instances, like, there's an aspect of like vulnerability which can really help that process of being successful, being mentally healthy, being productive, right? Because if you're vulnerable, you know, and you can talk through the challenges that you're having, right? It can be very helpful to have people share insights and talk you through challenges that you're having. And if you're vulnerable and you're willing to admit that you don't know something, you can gain and have others pour into you knowledge to help you grow your business. So just all in all, I think vulnerability is important. So I want you to be vulnerable with the audience. And this is I don't typically do stuff like this, but you show me yours, I'll show you mine. Talk about a time where you felt outright dumb.
Oh, dude, on my way to work this morning. But no, I'll say, you know, outright outright dumb. There's all kinds of times for that. I mean, I've done things in my life where I look back now and it's like, dude, what was that all about? You know, for example, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if dumb is the word I would use, but maybe crazy. And that applies in a lot of cases. So, like, I relocated. I lived in Columbus, Ohio my entire life till I was 31 years old. I moved to North Carolina, and I was doing the roofing supply company there in Charlotte. I didn't have any other backup plans. I had nothing else in mind. I was starting to get a little pissed off because things weren't working out the way that I'd liked, and I felt like a caged animal. So one day I got into a confrontation with a customer, and I decided I didn't want to work there anymore. So I just walked in and said, screw it, I quit, right? And this is after like 12 to almost 14 years of being at the same company, transferring, going over there. I just was like, I'm done, dude, I'm out. And I left, right? Never went back. Didn't have a plan at all. I ended up moving to Texas and doing all that stuff. I guess if you look in hindsight, before I found out that it was going to work and that everything was going to be okay, that's kind of a dumbass move, right? I mean, I worked pretty hard to get to that stage, had built something up pretty special, had a good standing in the company, and then whoosh,
right.
That's pretty dumb, but, you know, it ended up working out for me. So at the end, I guess it was smart, really.
Well,
I guess I've never done anything that dumb.
Right. Well,
it's all lessons, right? It's all, everything stupid is smart because it teaches you.
You could have the shittiest of circumstances, and like you said, if you look back at it in this moment, it's like in the moment, maybe it wasn't what you would determine to be the wisest, but guess what? In the absence of that, maybe you're still there today and we're not having this conversation, right? And keeping it Rio and Rio Blanco doesn't exist, and you still, you know, you're stuck in a caged animal position. And a lot of people, like, because of the security of that situation, right, of employment and the needs of their family, like, unfortunately, like, a lot of people don't take that jump, right? And they're stuck in a job that they don't necessarily like, and it feels just like it obliterates their soul to go to work every day, and that fucking sucks, right? That's a really shitty spot to be in.
Yeah. I've been there. I've had that happen to me in the past. Yeah, I've been in a spot where, you know, you wake up in the morning and it's like, damn, dude, like, I got to go face this crap again today, and I know I got to do it again tomorrow and the next day, and life becomes monotonous if you don't love what you're doing. And I'm not going to lie, we have those days still, you know. A couple weeks ago I was in a mood, and it was just like, man, you know, what the hell? Like, I don't need this. I could go do something easy, and I could go make money, and I could go, you know, I'm a simple guy, pay my bills and give me a couple bucks to go eat lunch every day, and I'm happy, you know. So that's that's a unique mindset to have, but you know, I guess people look at me and say, damn, you've done some crazy kind of stuff, but as long as you believe in yourself and you bank on it and you know you're going to do it and you're going to make it, then it's really not that crazy at all.
Not that crazy at all. So, yeah, I have So I got a funny story about one time that sticks out to me that I'll never forget, and I felt like probably the dumbest person ever, right? And it's fine. Like, I don't consider myself to be like a radical intellect or anything like that, and I'm very self-aware of that, and it's fine. So I was in 7th grade. And
I didn't know we were going back that far. I do have some dumbass stuff from back then, so yeah, okay.
So this is something, like, this is what comes to mind for me. I was in 7th grade, and I was in tech class, right? Technology. And they're teaching you, like, how to use all these different tools. And I'm like, man, okay. And the teacher's like, you got to write a 2-page report. And I forget what the fuck it was about. We were making, like, race cars out of balsa wood that we were going to put CO2 tanks in the back. And there was, like, a mousetrap mechanism that was going to pop the CO2 tank, the race cars on a string, and whoever's finishes first. So, like, I think you had to go through, like, the design process, why you design yours the way it is, and what impact that's going to have on you winning the race. So he's like, all right, it's got to be 2 pages, and it's got to be double spaced. So mind you, for context, like, I'm 34. At the time, like, computers weren't ubiquitous. Nobody had them. Some people had them, so you could go to the library. We were fortunate enough to have had a computer, but, like, I wasn't familiar with, like, Microsoft Word. I mean, I think we were on, like, Windows 95.
The good days.
And I'm like, well, dude, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, this guy wants this thing double spaced. I'm like, I'm thinking, trying to reason through it. I'm like, I don't see any value in why he'd want it double spaced. I'm going to do it just because, but it's kind of a dick move to be like, I got to go here and space everything out twice. So I wrote the whole thing, and I went through every word and put an extra space in between the 2 words. Because I didn't know what double spacing was, right? Like, I didn't know. It's like you highlight it, go to paragraph, and fucking... It made a lot more sense once I figured out what it actually meant. I lost like 15 points on the project because it wasn't double spaced, and I lost it. I'm like, what do you mean? I spent an extra 40 minutes putting 2 spaces in between every word? And he's like, that's not what double spacing is. And he's just looking at me so, like, perplexed, and I was like, I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough. I fucked it up. I'll never forget it, dude. It was hilarious.
Sometimes those things will last for the rest of your life. It's funny how that works.
The trauma. Yeah, so, for anyone in the audience, double spacing, it's not actually putting 2 spaces in between every word. So that's the takeaway from today's episode.
All right, so here's the reality of what's happening. I was actually waiting for you to explain what double spacing is, so I would actually be able to know what the hell double spacing actually is. So something that made you feel dumb is about to give me some vast knowledge. So please explain the concept, because I'm much older than you, and I do not have any idea what that is. I'm a roofer. Yeah, so essentially, like, what happens is if you're creating a document in, like, Microsoft Word or something, right? You've got your line and line and line of content, and it seems like kind of mashed if it's single space. There's no margin in between each one of the sentences. So if you double space it, it puts just a little more space in between line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, so it makes it easier to read. Space this way versus this way. I got you. All right, there you go.
Exactly.
Now I have learned something. It is 7:45 a.m. on Saturday, and I know it. Oh, dude, hey, I would have been right there. I would have lost 15 points as well, no doubt. And I'd have been pissed.
But it's like, well, and that's the thing, right? It's okay not to know. You don't know what you don't know. I didn't know it at the time. You didn't know it now. Same way as, like, if I went up on a roof and tried to start doing shit, it would be all hacked up, and it would be completely fucked. And it's okay, right? It's like, there's always a silver lining. Focus on the opportunity to pull some good out of a situation. And in that instance, for me, pulling that opportunity was like, okay, so now I know, and I'm not going to lose points, and I'm not going to spend an extra hour doing dumb shit that they're not asking for. It's only going to happen this one time, and it's okay. So, Mr. K, if you're out there and you happen to be listening to this podcast, we appreciate you all these years later.
Thanks, Mr. K. Seriously, you did some damage to this guy. Years later, he's still fretting about this, Mr. K. I hope you feel good, dude. I hope you sleep well tonight.
Yeah. So, what else you got to talk about? Anything else that you want to address? Any questions that you have for me? What do you got?
Oh, my gosh. I got all kinds of things going on in my head. What about, you're in Buffalo. Okay, Buffalo Bills are doing pretty damn good right now, right? What about sports? You into sports at all? I'm an Ohio State Buckeye fan. We got Brutus back here. I got Ohio State, Michigan coming up next week, and I've got a bet with Stan over at Atlas. Whoever wins, the other dude has to sport that team's colors. So you might, I mean, you're not going to see me wearing Michigan shit because that ain't going to happen. But if, for some crazy reason, a fluke happens, there could be like a viral internet moment where I'm going to lose all my friends my entire life because I will be on the internet wearing a Michigan shirt or hat. And talk about changing your life. That could ruin me forever. So what about that? Buffalo, they going to win the Super Bowl this year?
I'm a big sports guy, especially like as far as like viewership. I'm all in on football. Bills Mafia, obviously, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. We've had some struggles the last couple weeks, but like that's fine, right? Like most people that you talk to that are successful, they've got a crazy story, right? They've got some shit that's happened to them that they've had to persevere through. They faced adversity. And that's all that's happened the last few weeks with the Bills. It's fine. And I'd rather that happen now than in Week 18 and, the first round of the playoffs, right? So let's take our lumps now. Let's learn from it. Let's make the necessary adjustments. And then, bring that ship home. It's all good.
That's right.
I do like other sports.
I'll say this. It's scripted like Rocky. And the reason why I like Rocky is because that dude always gets his ass whipped and he always gets beat up early and then he comes back and he perseveres at the end. And I do believe, I say it's scripted. I mean, maybe to a certain degree there are maybe some calls that make me question the validity of some of the games, but I like that aspect. I like a team that gets their butt whooped a couple times and says, okay, we thought we were superhuman, but we're not. We're just regular-ass guys, and now we're going to work. But you got a quarterback named Allen. You can't go wrong with that. I know for many, many years on the Madden franchise, there was a quarterback named Allen, and this dude is a Hall of Famer. So anybody that's off of that family tree, you're going to be all right. So he's a kin to the great Chuck Allen.
What a great, I was always like a very cautiously optimistic Bills fan, right? Like I was always a fan, but like cautiously optimistic as far as like what the prospect of the season held. And I wasn't incredibly excited when we got Josh Allen. And, year one, I was like, see? Year two, it's like, like third year, it's like, holy fuck, this guy is putting it together, right? Like, I always say, like, they need, you got to be developed. He's a raw talent, and, like, 90% of the time they're fucking wrong, and it's a Ryan Leaf-style bust, right? It's like, ugh. Maybe not 90%. I'm not a statistician. But I felt like
it's a high percentage.
What we had coming down the... Yeah. So, you look at, like, his third year, and then we get Diggs, and it's like the entirety of the organization changed, and, like, you could see it in the guys on the field. Like, they just look like they're having fun. You look at them on the sideline and their demeanor, their disposition, the way they're engaging, right? It's like unlike anything I've seen over the last 20 years. And I'm like, that's when I knew. I'm like, we're going to be legitimate contenders. Like, these guys enjoy being there. They're having fun. And that, to me, is a really dangerous team.
Yep, I love it. They're just playing for fun and having a good time and doing it because that's, at some point when you're a pro like that, you got to lose that edge, that desire. It becomes a job. And I think the ones that are still able to go out there and have fun with it, they're the ones that succeed, You look at a guy like Tom Brady, as bad as I hate Tom Brady from being where he's from as far as his university, that dude has fun. That's why he's the best of all time. He wasn't the most talented. He wasn't but he put in the effort. He put in the time. And the dude just enjoys it. Brett Favre was the same way, I loved watching Brett Favre play just because that dude did not care. He'd throw it into a crowd with, like, he'd throw it into the other team's huddle just for the hell of it, And it's like, I appreciate that. That's the beauty of sport.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And I share your dismay for Tom Brady for different reasons, right? Being a Bills fan for, the last 20 years and having him just, destroy any, you always win in the season. It's like, well, we got to make the wild card, right? Or we're not getting in. And, for like 17 years in a row, we didn't get the wild card spot, right? So it's like, I was
Thanks,
happy
Tom.
to see him go, and but I always respected the shit out of him, right? It's like you can, be upset with somebody because of the circumstances that they put you in, but it doesn't mean you can't respect them, right? Like he's the greatest of all time. Like as of right now, there's no doubt about it. The guy's fucking 50 years old, damn near, still slinging the ball around at a relatively high level. So it's like, good God, how many rings does he got? 5, 7?
7.
I've lost count.
7 too many, man. 7 too many. But I will say this: as a Bills fan and an Ohio State fan, we can share one common thing that we can both celebrate forever. Go to YouTube and type in Nate Clements hit on Tom Brady.
Oh, I was at that game.
That's the worst hit Tom ever took in his career, and it's OHIO, baby. Come on. That's a Buckeye great.
Dude, Clemens cleaned his shit up. That was wild, dude. The crowd went. I mean, you can imagine, right? I think, God, I was
I'm
like
all
10
fired
years
up
old
about
or
it
12 years
today.
old or something, dude.
I love it.
Yeah, anyone in the audience, if you haven't seen that hit, this was when before you could actually like fall on a quarterback and hit them. God, I don't even know.
This was before Tom Brady had his own
2000?
rules. Yeah, it was a long time ago. He was a young man.
Yeah. Yeah, he decided to scramble and take off, and Nate Clemens he paid the consequence for it. He made him pay. That was crazy. Yeah, so we can like you said, vibe in that moment forever because it's on the internet and it's not going anywhere. So
yep, they tell me YouTube never goes away.
He got fucking smoked. Right.
And that's the hardest part about that.
Yeah, I like other sports.
He does get up, And look, he was going to retire at the end of last year, right? This is the worst possible scenario for a guy like me who's never rooted for Tom Brady in his entire life, okay? Last year in the playoff game, they were getting crushed, right? And I'm watching the game and it's like, whatever. Tom Brady's going out like this, haha. And then all of a sudden he starts like
the Rams
doing this little Tom Brady bullshit where he's coming back and he's coming back and he's coming back. And I caught myself for a brief moment being like, you know what? This dude is the greatest of all time. And I'll be damned if that wasn't the jinx that I needed to get him out there. But at that moment, I actually rooted for Tom Brady for about a split second last year because I thought he was retiring. And it was because of that support that he fell short. I take all the credit in the world for that.
That's funny. I saw a meme last week, and it's like, since divorce, Tom Brady's 2-0, and it's like it's him like this. Oh my God! Yeah, I like other sports. I play basketball like 3 to 4 times a week. Still actively do that. But as far as like watching it. Basketball, baseball, hockey, there's just too many fucking games to be like a committed fan for me personally. I have a hard time like half-stepping things, so it's like, 180 games or 82 games. It's like, I don't know how to find the time to manage that. So I don't really watch those sports, unfortunately.
Yeah,
maybe like
neither,
championships. Like I'll watch NBA playoffs, championships.
Yep, so the big games. I took the TV out of my house. I got one over here in my office, and I watch stuff over here, and it makes me have to actually come to work on Saturdays to watch football. So while I'm here, I get stuff done, but I don't watch a lot of sports right now myself. I used to like NASCAR, and I've been to a lot of NASCAR races, and it used to be really cool. It sucks now, but back in the day, it was pretty good, and I like to watch UFC. I think UFC is my favorite sporting event now, and I've been a fan since day one of that. The first ever champion actually was from my hometown, so it was kind of cool.
No shit, dude, what a card last weekend. Are you kidding me?
And we get spoiled by that stuff because it's like, that now you come to expect it. And it's like, man, they had 5 fights that could have main evented any other card. And you got, Poirier and Chandler was a war. You had Frankie Edgar got knocked out cold, going out like that. And just, all the storylines of the entire thing.
Tough.
Championship. And, Adesanya just has this one dude who just, has his number for whatever reason. And they fought before in a different life, and the same dude beat him. And yeah, and it's just like, man, the storylines behind it are so cool. And it's not just a barbaric cage fight, but you actually you know, you see some of the beauty in it, and it's like, you know what? Hey, I can appreciate a good athletic competition, you know, struggling to try and choke each other out and kill each other, and, you know, that's pretty beautiful in my mind, my demented mind.
Yeah, man, that Poirier fight, Chandler, I mean, I didn't know, he's like 35. Like, that dude is incredibly explosive for his age. You know, I thought he was like 27. Like, looking at him, you're like, this dude looks like fucking Superman.
Yeah, it's insane.
And I thought he was going to put him to sleep round one when he had Poirier up on the cage, right? And he fucking like landed that shot, and he was like visibly stunned. I'm like, that's it. And then he got like saved by the bell, I think, if I recall correctly. I was like, oh boy, that was, whew. Yeah, that was a crazy card, man. When I think I thought what everyone else thought for the Pereira fight. It's like, this dude's gassed. He's not gonna, you know, Izzy's not, right? That dude's cardio is fucking stupid.
He's gonna cruise. Yep.
And yeah, you know, because I think it was rounds 2 and 3, Pereira just looked like a shell of who he was round 1. Bigger dude, right? And I think, what did he cut, like 20 pounds 14 pounds that last week or something? And I've never had to do that, but I grew up with a lot of wrestlers, and I know that shit impacts you. So it's like, all right, well, this dude, you know, he's down on the cards, and he just came out. What did his trainer tell him? It's like, you're the champ. This is your fight. This is your opportunity. Gets him all fired up, and he goes in there and fucking worked Izzy. I was like, dude, how crazy is that? When he landed that one shot that shook him, and then he just started unloading. I'm like, that's tough for Izzy.
Yeah, motivational speeches will take you to places you don't even know you can go. That's the beauty of it, right? And in that moment, the emotion, like, that's real, you know. That is absolutely real. You can't fake that, and that's what's so beautiful about those events.
Yeah, I mean, to this day, right? The Al Pacino speech in Any Given Sunday at halftime, I put that shit on just like randomly. Have you watched that movie?
Oh yeah, years ago, but yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's like, let's go. Give me a water run through.
When he's talking about, you look, he's like, you know, he's talking to the guys, he's like, I made every mistake a 40-year-old man, a middle-aged man can make. But you look at that guy next to you, and you know they'll die for you. And they're like, ah! I'm like, holy shit, dude, it gives me goosebumps every time. And it's completely irrelevant to anything that I'm doing, but just the energy around. It's so crazy how, like, a fucking movie that was shot 15 years ago can evoke that out of somebody in a completely different environment where I'm not playing football, I'm not doing anything, but just listening to that, it can evoke that emotion out of you. It's like, so powerful, dude. Yeah.
You're inspired at the grocery store, you know, like, let's go. Whatever you're doing at that moment, you can just, you know, it can inspire you. It's
Where's
great.
the zucchini?
I love it.
Dude. Yeah, dude, this was amazing. Thank you so much for taking some time on a Saturday, just spontaneously at 6:30 a.m. your time to hop on, and I've had a lot of fun doing this, even with the technical failures I've had on my side.
Technical failures are good. It just proves that we're human, and I always love doing random content. It's my thing. I've conditioned everybody on my team to know that there's going to be a camera at some point during a day, and, you know, some of the best stuff comes from just randomly, you know, 2 hours ago, I had no idea we were going to be talking on a podcast for an hour, and I think this is where the best content comes from. I mean, shit, I don't even remember the stuff we talked about, but I can't wait to watch it because I guarantee it's going to be funny. I hope I didn't say anything too stupid.
Yeah, same. I always have that. I'm like, what did I say again? So if people want to tune in, or if they're interested in being a guest on Keeping It Rio, how do they find you?
I am about the easiest guy in the world to find. On Facebook, Chuck Allen, what's that thing called? Instagram? I'm new to that one, but Instagram, Chuck Allen 9. I'm on LinkedIn as Chuck Allen. There's Keeping It Rio podcast YouTube channel, Keeping It Rio podcast Facebook page, and I cut up little clips and post them all over the place for the world. So if you can't find me, you probably just need to turn on your computer, and I'll be there at some point. So easy to get a hold of. If you'd like to be a guest, just get a hold of me through Messenger, because I love having people on the podcast. It's fun. I've got some pretty good ones lined up here in the next couple weeks, so pretty exciting content.
Nice, dude. Yeah, no, I can't wait to see it. Again, super grateful for you taking time on a Saturday to drop in, share your perspective and all your tidbits and experience with the audience. Thank you to the listeners of the Mission Control Podcast. Wouldn't be here without you. We appreciate your unwavering support. And anything else to add before we go, Chuck?
Thanks to the listeners. If you're still here, I figure most of them probably checked out like an hour and a half ago. But if you stuck it out for this entire episode, you're awesome. You know shit that other people don't know about us, and that's the bonus content for the day. That's why it's a bonus.
That's the bonus of the bonus. Well, again, thanks again, Chuck, and we go.
Yes, sir.